Tennis, Eala, Martins ousted in first round of Australian Open doubles. Updated. Filipina tennis star Alex Eala and Brazilian partner Ingrid Martins bowed out of contention in women's doubles of the Australian Open on Tuesday evening. This, after they absorbed a 3-set loss against Japan's Shuko Aoyama and Poland's Magda Linette, who shook off a slow start en route to a 7-6, 2-6, 6-3 win at Court 14 in Melbourne. The results caps Eala's maiden campaign in the Australian Open, with the Filipina having lost to Alicia Parks of the United States in the first round of women's singles on Monday. It was a sorry loss for Eala and Martins, as they had raced to a 4-0 start in the first set only to succumb to their errors and allow Aoyama and Linette to work their way back into the match. Eala held her serve to put them at set point, 5-3, but Aoyama and Linette won back-to-back games to force a tie. The opener went to a tiebreak, which Aoyama and Linette dominated. They surged to a 6-3 advantage, before Martins sent a forehand wide to clinch the frame in their opponent's favor. Eala and Martins roared back in set 2, taking a quick-fire 6-2 win to force a decider. But Aoyama and Linette regrouped quickly, winning the first 4 games before Eala again held her serve to get her team on board. The 6th game was a back-and-forth affair that featured 5 deuces, but Linette committed back-to-back errors to hand the win to Eala and Martins. The Brazilian went on to hold her serve to bring them within 1 game, 4-3, but Aoyama and Linette regained their poise, dominating the rest of the way to claim their place in the second round. Tennis beyond the baseline, the story of Eala, Martins, and the Australian Open. The Australian Open is that time of year when the tennis world converges on Melbourne, not just a city, but a crucible where dreams are tested under the harsh glare of summer's sun and the unforgiving metrics of winners and unforced errors. For Alex Eala and her partner Ingrid Martins, the 2026 edition was meant to be a showcase of promise, grit, and evolution. Instead, it became a poignant chapter in a longer book, one that reminds us that greatness is seldom a straight line. They say tennis is life, compressed, every serve, a beginning, every rally, a struggle between order and chaos, every point, a lesson learned or a confidence cracked. In this respect, Alex Eala and Ingrid Martins' first-round exit in the Australian Open women's doubles, a result that sent them packing earlier than they had hoped, wasn't simply a loss on paper. It was an encounter rich with import, emotion, and narrative weight. Globe showing Europe-Africa the characters on court. Alex Eala, the rising star from the Philippines. At just 20 years old, Alexandra "Alex" Eala has already etched her name into history as a trailblazer for Filipino tennis. She has climbed to a career-high ranking inside the WTA Top 50 and drawn fans not merely because she wins, but because she inspires. Her presence at the Australian Open is historic, a Filipino main-draw player at Melbourne Park, carrying not just her racket but the hope of a nation. Coming into this tournament, she already experienced the bitter taste of defeat in her singles campaign, falling to American Alicia Parks in the first round. Still, Eala showed her mettle, taking the first set 6-0 before letting momentum slip. Rather than let disappointment linger, she pivoted swiftly to doubles, teaming with Ingrid Martins, a seasoned Brazilian with valuable experience on the tour. The union was both tactical and symbolic, youth paired with wisdom, power with poise. Ingrid Martins, the veteran with poise. Martins, a former world number 47 in doubles, brings a steady hand to every partnership. She has seen both sides of the sport's peaks and valleys and was the ideal complement to Eala's youthful fire. Together, they stood against seasoned competitors in one of tennis' most unforgiving arenas. Tennis, the match that wasn't meant to be. Eala and Martins' opponents in the first round, Magda Linette and Shuko Aoyama, were a formidable duo, seasoned, strategic, and unafraid of Melbourne's spotlight. The match was tight. It spilled into a deciding set after a roller coaster of momentum swings and tactical shifts. They dropped the opening set in a tight tiebreak, rallied in the second, then ultimately lost steam in the third. In the end, the scoreboard reflected a close contest, but not the story of effort, growth, and competitive spirit that unfolded behind it. The defeat wasn't a collapse, it was a battle. They fought, they adapted, they rallied. But in tennis as in life, sometimes the margin between victory and defeat is measured in just a few crucial points. Thought balloon the pressures behind the scoreline. Tennis players at this level carry layers of expectations, personal ambition, national pride, and the added psychological weight of breaking barriers. For Eala, the Australian Open wasn't just another tournament. It was part of her proving ground as a young athlete who continuously shatters ceilings for Southeast Asian tennis. Fans flocked to her matches in droves, sometimes with more noise and passion than decorum, a dual-edged sword of support that can both lift and unsettle a player's focus, as some observers noted. Balancing this energy with the internal demands of professional tennis is no small feat. Athletes, after all, must retreat into a mental space where they can make split-second decisions under pressure, a discipline that often comes with time and experience. Seedling what loss teaches us. A first-round exit could be viewed through many lenses, as disappointment, as a setback, or as an invaluable lesson. For Eala and Martins, it was a mirror, a reminder that growth isn't linear. Early exits don't negate talent, they refine it. Resilience is developed in adversity. Every point lost is data gathered about strategy, mindset, and recovery. Partnerships evolve. Doubles isn't just about skill, it's about synergy, understanding a partner's rhythm, strengths, and weaknesses. That takes time, trust, and shared experience. Eala herself responded to the tournament with grace and perspective, sharing an uplifting message on social media emphasizing the joy of living her dreams, even when results don't align with expectations. And that, perhaps, is the essence of competitive sports. Not only the pursuit of titles but the courage to show up again and again. Trophy a broader canvas. Eala's journey, from WTA tournaments to Grand Slams, is not defined by a single scoreboard. Her exploits during the tennis season include deep runs, spirited wins, and moments where she stood toe-to-toe with the top names in the sport. Fans around the world have watched her play with both heart and intelligence, proving that results are only part of the story. Martins, too, has a narrative broader than this match. She represents the seasoned road traveler, a professional whose career highlights include titles, partnerships, and contributions to the sport that aren't measured by a single outcome. This Australian Open exit is a snapshot, a moment in time, yes, but also a bridge to future opportunities. Direct hit looking forward. What lies next for Eala and Ingrid Martins? For Eala, this journey is far from over. She has already made her mark on the major stage, and her career spans years yet to unfold. Her experiences at this Australian Open, both the highs of momentum and the sting of defeat, will feed her growth. For Martins, her role as both